Hello, YouTube. Robert Alvarez, the Psychic Witch, also known as Mr. Lighting in a Fan. Good evening to all of you. Right now, the time is approximately 4:58 p.m. Eastern Time, and the date is Sunday, November 1st, 2020. I am shuffling one of my personal favorite tarot decks because I am going to cast the cards for the Tarot and Oracle card prompts for the Many Moons 2020 Lunar Planner for November 2020. So I'm actually going to put these to the side for the moment. I'll shuffle them a little bit more after I'm done, after I finish this part. So good evening to all of you. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person for my YouTube videos do a close-up of the cover of the Many Moons 2020 Lunar Planner. As you can see, it's not as pristine as it was back in January because I use it a lot. I carry it in my day bag all the time, but it serves me beautifully well. And now, oh, I need to put on my eyes. I must admit, I have assembled a beautiful collection of reading glasses these last few months. Okay. Tarot or Oracle card pull for the month. Okay, so pull one card or a series of cards for this month. Suggested spread. I didn't count this ahead of time, but we'll count. You'll count along with me. What parts of my shadow are ready to integrate and heal? What support can I call on with this? What does surrendering look like for me this month? So it's a 3-card spread. Okay, so I'm going to read those again. First card, what parts of my shadow are ready to integrate and heal? Second card, what support can I call on with this? What support can I call on with this, as in with this situation, with this goal, with this intention, with this endeavor? And third card, what does surrendering look like for me this month? So with every time that I cast the cards, whether it's for a paying client or in my videos, what I'm going to do is I'm going to deal the cards. And in this case, I'm going to hold up each card. I'll have you look at the card first. My awesome audiovisual person will do a close-up. Then I will look at the card and interpret the card. And then I will do a final message card, which will be from the bottom of the deck. So this is, and of course, at some point I will go back to using a tabletop to cast the cards in my videos. But for now, this is convenient and it's easy and I don't need to worry about anything. So I'm going to cut the cards into 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I realized too late I could have pulled those cards. Yeah, I know. I'll admit it. And then the finalmost card is in the bottom. Okay. And as I might have mentioned before or earlier, I'm using the Mystical Cats Tarot, which was written by Lunaea Weatherstone and illustrated by the illustrious Mickie Mueller. I have been in love with her artwork for years. Anyway, so, are you ready? Card number 1. Oh, sorry, I almost forgot. So even though I'm casting these cards for myself, it has happened on numerous occasions when I'm casting the cards for myself and it resonates with some of you in YouTube land. So with that, I'm going to take a sip of tea and then we're going to go forward. Twinings lemon ginger, it's so good. Okay, now I'm ready. Card number 1. What parts of my shadow are ready to integrate and heal? So, I'm going to show all of you the card first. I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up of the front of the card. I'm going to have him do a close-up of the back of the card. And then I'm going to look at the card and interpret it. 8 of Earth, more commonly known as the 8 of Pentacles. So what needs to be integrated? What needs to be integrated and healed? Stuff about age and the body. Stuff about well, I'm in my 50s, so this is what's going to happen in my body. Stuff about, well, I'm in my 30s, and this is what's going to happen in my body. And I'm looking at this field of green, so I cannot help but really think about and feel the presence of the heart chakra. And as I realize my left hand is in the vicinity of my heart chakra, I'm like, oh, okay. So I also feel that whatever stuff that you may have about relationships, and not just romantic relationships, that's the one thing that I've always done my best to convey to clients. Having a romantic relationship is beautiful. It is important. But there are other kinds of relationships. I will always, always, always place my friends above my life partner. Because the fact of the matter is that I knew them longer. And don't get me wrong, I have a phenomenal life partner who is my divine consort. And I trust him with my life. He has become an especially important part of my life. He is absolutely sacred to me. And the fact of the matter is that I still have amazing friends and awesome friends that I cannot wait to see again when I can see them again. So the fact of the matter is that this is also about integrating and healing any lingering stuff that we may have about our relationships with family members, blood relations, our relationships with our coworkers and supervisors, our relationships with our gods, our relationships with ourselves. And 8 in the numerology of the Sacred Tarot has always been a bit of a mystery to me. So I often feel that for me, 8s are about something is going to change. And something is changing now. And because it is the first card that came out, one could argue that our stuff about our relationships is changing now. Earlier this year, Venus entered a retrograde transit. And I've been saying for years that when Venus and Mars retrograde in the same calendar year, in this case 2020, it is about relationship shakeups. And for the record, I've had some of those relationship shakeups with myself. I've had some relationship shakeups with myself. And being back in therapy for the first time in almost 25 years, it's given me a deeper insight into myself. Like, oh, so this is why I have these issues about this person, this situation, that kind of thing. And in the short time that I've been back in therapy, I have noticed there have been some shakeups in my life. Like, oh, okay, there you go. So that's that. Second card. What support can I call on with this? So what support can we call on regarding the parts of our shadows that we are ready to integrate and heal? And once again, I'm going to show all of you the card first. I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up of the card. And then I'm going to look at the card and interpret it. Okay. 2 of C, more commonly known as the 2 of Cups. So, our loved ones, the people that we love and adore, the people that love and adore us, they can help us. We can call on them to help us integrate and heal this stuff that came up with our shadow work. Even if we didn't act, and for those of you that did not actively do any shadow work during this Samhain, it's okay. Personally, I've always felt that shadow work can be done anytime the moon is waning. And right now, the moon is waning. The moon is waning for the simple reason that, it's a waning moon. For me, how I was taught is that the night of a full moon is already a waning moon. So you can always do shadow work any time of the year. And of course, ultimately go with your intuition. Your intuition may tell you only do shadow work in March, around the vernal equinox. For those of us in the northern hemisphere. The southern hemisphere, it would be Mabon for you, with the autumnal equinox. So it really depends on what your intuition guides you, what your magical training guides you, what your intuition leads you to do. But personally, I think that shadow work is ideal anytime the moon is waning. And really, 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 it works for me. I'll say that. It definitely works for me. But there's absolutely a lot of support. Now, I've often seen books that will interpret the Two of Sea or the Two of Cups as a romantic relationship. So if you are in a healthy, functional, uplifting, nourishing, nurturing romantic relationship, then that romantic life partner or spouse, if you're married, can absolutely be called upon to help you with the integration and the healing of all that came up and came out in your shadow work process, or in your dark night of the soul if you had one recently. What does surrendering look like for me this month? So this may be a combination of two interpretations. It may be an indication of what you are going to surrender and release, or rather what we are going to surrender and release in November, or what we're going to release and surrender in November 2020. And it could also be about what it looks like. So once again, I'm going to pull the card first. I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up of said card. And then I'm going to look at the card, and then I'll interpret it. Okay. Thank you. Two of Fire. I'm surprised. This card surprises me because I didn't expect it. So here's what I'm going to say about this card, because having spent time with the writings of Barbara Moore, I know that she's written that twos are about changes, and in the numerology of the Sacred Tarot, twos are partnership cards. So I feel that we have additional support that we can call upon, and what these and because it's a fire card, or rather because it's a wands card, I'm going to say that we have spiritual support. I'm going to say that we have the support of our guardian angels, spirit guides, ancestors, deities, spirits. And it's funny because I remember I found this really great witchy music playlist on Spotify, and one of the songs is "I Am a Proud Pagan," and one of the lyrics has to do with "You can go to your angels, I'll stick with my fairies," or something to that effect. And it makes sense that those of us who honor or who practice an earth-based religion would be more connected to spirits of the earth, as in the sacred fae, as opposed to, angels in the air. But I'm a witch that loves working with the angels, and I love working with the archangels as well. And I've talked about angels in my classes in the past, so I'm very happy to work with both angels and fairies. But I do feel that we also can call upon so many different spiritual support helpers in this transitional time. And of course, if you have not reached out to your particular deities or your psychic guides or your spirit guides, or if you are, let's say, a Reiki practitioner, your Reiki guides, or if you are somebody who is a practitioner of another energy healing modality, to your other healing guides, this would be a great time to do that. They just showed me the Page of Wands in my mind, and I've often interpreted the Page of Wands as the card of the spiritual apprentice, about resurrecting the spiritual practices and the magical practices that we've allowed to go by the wayside. So I really feel like this, and of course today is the 1st of November, so it makes sense to begin to do a day one of a new habit or a new practice on the first day of the calendar month. I could be wrong, but hey, it could happen, right? It could work. But seriously, I feel that this is a great time to reconnect with those spirits that accompany you, that are part of your earthly sojourn. I'm remembering a reading that I had given to somebody who's been using my psychic services for more than 10 years. And she had this reading with me And I remember it was a Friday the 13th, and it was last September, so it was September 2019. And I remember that we were having breakfast prior to having her reading. In fact, she surprised me by saying that she was going to be my first reading of the day at Notions and Potions that month last year. And I was like, oh, really? That's cool. So I didn't know that. I was thrilled. But I remember that I was very strongly guided and led to give her a goddess reading. And I remember I had used a combination of both the Goddess Oracle, created by Amy Sophia Marashinsky and illustrated by Harana Janto, and I also used it's called the Goddess Tarot, but it's really an oracle card deck that's based on tarot, but it does not have 78 cards. It has 33 or 34. It was illustrated by Isha Lerner, who's more well known for the inner child cards. And I remembered giving her this reading, and at some point she shocked the hell out of me by saying that she had not venerated the goddess at all in 2019. And I was like, how could you not? Because she had also participated in some of my goddess classes. So I was like, what? Like, like she had 3 heads. And not as a triple goddess, but as a 3-headed creature. And there was a momentary lapse on my part, but it was divinely healing for her to remember the goddess. Not only the goddess that has chosen her as her beloved divine daughter, but also, or goddesses as the case may be, but also to venerate and honor the goddess within her. So I was really thrilled that I had a hand and a card and a wing in that. So I really feel like this card is also saying this is the time to remember your divine energy, remember your magic, remember your witchiness, remember your goddessness. And the final message card I will show all of you first. It is the bottommost card of the remaining part of the remaining cards of the deck. And of course, as always, I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up of this bottommost card, this final message card. And then I will interpret the card after I see what it is. It is the Earth Tom. So, I got to tell you, I love this deck. As somebody that loves cats and has 3 of them, I love this deck. I love that there are different breeds of cats on the cards. I love that they have, and when I say they, I'm referring specifically to Lunaea Weatherstone and Mickie Mueller, have created this feline adaptation of the tarot, the sacred tarot. So Earth Tom would be equivalent to the Knight of Pentacles. So this is definitely a time to always take stock of things. Traditionally known as Pentacles, these are the cards in the tarot that have to do with physical health matters and financial health matters. So absolutely continue creating, maintaining, and honoring a self-care practice. And it's no coincidence that my therapist is a huge advocate for self-care. So that she said that during our first session was thrilling for me. It made me so happy, and it comforted me more than I can tell you. But I really feel that this is also about honoring not only self-care in its entirety, but about remembering the importance of self-care. So remember to take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, psychologically, financially, energetically. Make sure that you complete the package. Make sure that whatever the need is, whatever the desire is, whatever the thing that's calling to you, is like, okay, let's take care of this. And, absolutely do not allow yourself to say, well, I can't do this right now because of X, or I can't do this right now because of Y. Allow yourself to do the best you can with whatever's available for you with regards to this is what's available to me. This is what I have at my disposal right now. You know, there are certain things that I cannot do right now because I'm either waiting to receive something or I'm waiting to hear from somebody else or other things are happening, but I can still do something. You know, I can still do something. You know, I may not, for example, I may not have the money to go to Tavern on the Green right now, or I may not have the money to go to my favorite Cuban restaurant, but I definitely have food in my home, and I can make myself a sandwich, or I can order out and have it delivered, or I can do whatever. You know, so it's not like, okay, so it's not like, oh, well, I can't do this, you know. You can do this, and if you cannot do this specific thing right now, what can you do in the meantime? And what can you do instead? You know, I remember I was strongly guided and led to reach out to a client, and I remember I said to her, you know, you kept showing up in my mind, so I needed to like reach out to you and see how you're doing. And we were chatting for a bit, and at one point she says, you know, I don't have any money right now for a reading. I don't have anything. And I said to her, well, that really wasn't the reason I reached out to you. I reached out to you because, you know, I kept thinking about you, so I needed to like reach out to you. And clearly my spirit guides were not going to leave me alone until I did. And, you know, truth be told, I wouldn't have been able to give her a reading that day anyway. So it wasn't like, you know, I needed to like, you know, drum up some business, because, you know, I've always had an issue with like selling myself as a reader, because in my mind I'm like, well, if your intuition is telling you to have a reading with me, then follow your intuition. And if your intuition is telling you not to have a reading with me, then follow that intuition too. You know, because I really don't, I mean, I just never felt comfortable. It's like, what is your intuition telling you? If your intuition is telling you to have a reading with me, then follow that. Because, and then, you know, just trust your intuition to provide you with everything else. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so yeah, so there's always something that you can do. There's always something that you can do to take care of your health and well-being. Oh, I hear a cat that needs to be let out of a bedroom. So thank you, YouTube, for honoring who I am and what I do. I wish all of you many blessings. Good night, and stay tuned for the next video, and I gotta go. Bye.